Hello everyone, I'm Day Weather Meteorologist Don Day with your Public Lands Council weekly weather update for this May 27th, 2023, being brought to you by WSR Insurance Services Incorporated, also being brought to you by Ag Risk Advisors. Well, as we go into the last days of May, headed towards early June, it looks like weather-wise, more of the same that we have seen over the last week or two. Precipitation has really returned to the western high plains and parts of the west, especially in the very dry areas of the plains and the southern plains and areas east of the divide. And we do see more rain coming over the next week for the western high plains, the Rockies, and parts of the Great Basin. This will be especially true for the central and western Dakotas, central and western Nebraska, central and eastern Montana, Wyoming, eastern Colorado, western Kansas, into the Oklahoma and Texas panhandles, and parts of eastern New Mexico as well. Those areas east of the divide are going to be in a persistent moist upslope pattern, which will mean frequent chances of showers and thunderstorms over the next week, along with near average temperatures. Now, the further east you go, it's drier in the central U.S. and parts of the Corn Belt. West of the Continental Divide, though, there will still be some showers and thunderstorms, but not as many compared to areas east of the divide. Temperatures will be mild to warm, but we don't expect going into most areas of the west anything out of kilter. We don't see a late season cold snap at the same time, but we don't see any record warmth either as we leave May and head into early June and the beginnings of summer. Now, in the last week, we have seen some more needed rain. This area right here in particular, as we'll show you with the drought monitor, really needed more rain. They got more. They're going to get more. Notice also across Montana, the fire areas of Alberta getting rained on. That certainly helped with fighting the fires up there. But notice we've got a bit of a dry hole right here over the last week. So those areas not nearly as moist as you got under an area of high pressure there. And as we go into the next week or so, we're going to see the same areas getting the rain and the same areas that have been dry staying drier. If you look at the drought monitor, we continue to see the worst drought conditions in this area right here. But if you look at rain where it fell over the last week, it fell in many of those areas. We would like to see some more rain in western Iowa and eastern Nebraska, and I think for eastern Nebraska some rain is coming. But the areas that are going to benefit the most over the next week will be in this area right here where the best chances of showers and thunderstorms will be. So there's more help coming to Kansas, New Mexico, the Oklahoma and Texas panhandles. Look at eastern Colorado, now just down to the border areas where the drier conditions are. Over the last week, the coolest conditions have actually been in the south and the east. This is a lot like what we showed you last week. This is a reversal from what we had for most of the winter, where the coldest temperatures relative to normal were in the west and the warmest in the east. But this spring so far, really since April, the coolness has been more into the central and eastern parts of the U.S. That trend will likely continue as well. Now, going into this Memorial Day weekend, you see these three thunderstorm notations right here. This is where most of the thunderstorm activity will be in this area here, then into the southeastern areas of the United States. Most warmth will be there, along with the best chances of showers and thunderstorms. This area between systems will be the most dry. But the Pacific Northwest, the Great Basin, the Rockies, and areas east of the divide will be moist heading into this upcoming weekend. Going into next week, it's a similar pattern. We continue to see thunderstorm activity in the west. High pressure centered over south central Canada through the central plains areas will keep those areas drier. So this is a pattern that looks favorable for the west to pick up more late May and early June rains, which is certainly good news, especially in those drought areas, along with temperatures that are getting warmer, getting into that early summer pattern. Taking a look over the next 7 days, precipitation in those areas continue to be right here where the heaviest moisture is going to be. Basically, it's right along the Continental Divide, east and west of the divide will be the wettest. Notice it's drier, not as much rain in the Corn Belt than heavier moisture there in the southeast. The desert southwest, usually this time of year, heats up and dries out a bit before the monsoon starts, so no really significant weather expected there. But parts of the Pacific Northwest, the northern Rockies, southern Canada, the western and central Dakotas, lots of Wyoming and Colorado, more rains on the way. That's your latest weekly update. We'll see you next week. Our next update will be next Saturday, June 3rd. Have a great week ahead, everyone.